Okay, I just shared my screen, so you all should see in your window the REW, the CRM. Thank you for letting me know that everything sounds good. I appreciate it. If you ever lose me or the screen goes black, I did have an issue last week during one of these where my computer completely froze. On the earlier class, we did good, so hopefully that won't happen. But if for some reason I go dark, just hang tight. I've got a backup computer that is that I can run over to and pick up right where I left off. So technology doesn't always work the way that we expect it to, as you all know. So, okay, welcome to Next Level. Before I dive into the content, I want to show you where you can find some of the resources that I'm going to be sharing with you today, kind of these step-by-step guides. I'm going to put this, for anybody that missed it, I'm going to put this link back into the chat to go to a Drive folder that has all of these links in them, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. You can also find these on KCH Agent. Let's start there. I'm going to take you over to KCH Agent here. Under the Learning tab, there's a whole section on Home Suite. And the things that we're going to focus on today, if it'll load for me, come on. Already running into tech glitches here. Oh, of course I have to be logged in. It logged me out. I was logged in 5 minutes ago. I'm going to blame that on Scott and Jean kicking me out. Bear with me just a second while I get in the right place. I swear I had it open and already. Okay, so I'm going to click on the Learning tab here and go down to Home Suite. The materials that I'm going to focus on are in that link that I just put up in the chat. And that's in Google Drive. But right over, again, I'm under Learning and then Home Suite. Right under here is some guides, some step-by-steps for you. We're going to take a look at some of this stuff today, and this is in the Google Drive. I've got the CRM template preview. If you click on these, it'll open a PDF that you can print. These are kind of handy to have printed and in a folder somewhere for you, so you can refer back to them as you're in the site trying to customize some things. This is a preview of the templates. So remember, the templates are like the letterhead in the website. This shows you what the logo one looks like. We need to get the Alexa one out of there as we're no longer offering that platform. There's Kansas City Skyline that I know a lot of people like. In that link that I put up on chat, it'll take you to this Google Drive folder, and I peeled off of KCH Agent the stuff that we're going to cover today. So it's kind of the easy button for you and drills all of this down that's in here into what we're doing today. The guide that I'm going to follow kind of loosely is called this Home Suite 201. So if you want to jump in and download that and print it to take notes on for today, feel free. But you can find it in that link, and I'll certainly email that out after class as well. But all these resources are available on KCH Agent under the Learning tab, again, Home Suite, and you've got everything right here. So if you click on just the title, Home Suite 201, it'll take you into that guide. All right, are we ready to rock and roll here and get into the back end? Again, this is Next Level. At this point, I assume that you know how to log in, you know how to get to the CRM, you know how to put a client in. Now we're going to go beyond that, and I'm going to show you how to customize some things in here to really make this work more as a CRM than just a buyer search platform. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is groups, and we cover this a little bit in the basics class when I show you how to put people into the newsletter. Groups allow you to slice and dice your list of leads any way you want to slice and dice them. It also will allow you to assign specific people to campaigns. You have to go through, it's a little funky, and I realize that, but you have to go through groups to get people into these drip campaigns. So I want to start with showing you groups before we dive into the form letters and campaigns and how to use those and customize those. So we're going to start by just going in. I'm going over here on the left-hand side in the CRM, and I'm going to go to groups. And my page will look a lot different probably than what yours looks like. I've got a lot of groups that I've set up as I've been training and showing people how to use these groups. There are some global groups. You'll see underneath this one, for instance, it's a shared group. That means it's a global group. This is the group for to put people in if you want them to get our monthly e-newsletter, which, by the way, is fantastic. I don't know if you saw the one that came out the other day. I'll try to pull it up here during class to give you a just a preview of that, what the clients see. This is another shared one. It's a general monthly drip. If you want to know what these look like, right back over here in KCH Agent. General campaign preview. If you click on that, it's going to give you a PDF of what all of the emails that are going out to your clients, what those contain. It's good info. But if you want to see what you're actually signing people up for, you can get the previews right underneath here on KCH Agent. So these are all global groups. Down here are my groups. This is what I've set up. So one of the recommendations that if you're really going to truly use this as a CRM and put people on drip campaigns, you want to really give some thought to the groups that you set up. So one of your groups might be new buyers or people that are, active buyers. Another group might be you could go by year and do 2019 buyers, 2020 buyers, and then conversely do sellers. Or you can lump them all together and do clients. But it'll allow you to email them and set them up on drip campaigns by simply adding them to these groups. To add a new group, right up here in the upper right, there is a plus button, our favorite little plus button. So if I click plus, I can add a new group. So this is going to be my next level class on 214. And I can decide what color I want it labeled. We'll make it rose. Call this test group. I recommend if you're doing one for buyers or active buyers, you put in here what you intend this group to be used for. So if it's just going to be your 2020 clients, put in the description, all active clients or closed clients from 2020. Down here, we're going to hit save. And then once we go back to groups, we'll see this group. They should be in alphabetical order. Here's this group. Tells me I'm the owner of this group. I've got nobody in it right now. If I mess up, which I need to come in here and clean up my list, right over here I can delete a group. The importance of groups is, like I said, so you can slice and dice and send emails. Let me just show you I'm going to go through this. I realize I'm going to go through this quick, but I want to show you connect the dots as to why you might use this group. Let's find a group where I've actually got quite a few in it. Okay, I've got a group that's called, this is what I use, My Home Search Peeps. Everybody that got moved over from My Home Search, I put in this group so I could send them a customized email that said, we've got Kansas City Homes has a new home. Log in over here. So let me show you what that looks like on the execution once you set up a group. We are going to go to add new. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to go back to CRM. And I am going to go, is that what I want to do? I'm sorry, I'm fumbling through this right now. Where do I want to email the whole group? Let me go back to this. I think this is what I want to do. Back in the group, I click on the leads. Okay, so this is how you do it. Sorry, I fumbled through that. You can see right here, these are all my Home Search people. So I want to email this whole group. I go to action mode right here. And then I get this icon right here. I've got to select all because I want to email all of these people. I've already sliced them into this category. This is the group that I want to email. If I wanted to email 2020 clients, this is how I could email them all at one time. I select all right here, again, right next to leads. I'm clicking all, and then I'm going to click email. And it's going to open up an email for me. And I'm sending an email, I know subject is required, to 520 opted-in leads that are in this group. I'm doing it all in one foul swoop. So this is kind of the back end or the execution of why groups become valuable or become useful. And that's so you can mass email either one-off emails, or you can put your groups into drip campaigns. So you might have a group, as you have new clients that come in, you add them to the group of active buyers, and you have a drip campaign that that they get started on because you've assigned them to that group. Does that am I making sense? Is everybody following kind of the purpose and the point of groups? And what questions do you have about groups before I continue? Again, put it right over in the right-hand side in the chat. Any questions you might have, type into there and I'll answer them as they come in. Either I've confused you all and you don't have any questions, or I've done a good job explaining it. Okay, how do you assign someone to a group? Good question. Okay, let's go back. I don't want to send an email to 520 people. So there's a couple different ways that you can assign people to groups, and I'm going to show you the different ways you can do it. If I want to assign a whole bunch of people to a group, which is what I did with my Home Search Peeps group, I go into action mode again. I'm at my CRM. These are all my 687 leads here. Actually, we're just in my Home Search. Let's go back to my full CRM. This is everybody. I can tell it's everybody because of the number right up here next to leads. I go into action mode, and then next to their names, I can select who I want to add to a group. Okay, so I'm going to add, let's see, I don't want to add him. Once I have the people selected that I wanted, this is how to add multiple people to groups. I'm going to show you how to do it individually. I have the people selected. I'm going to hit right up here. Instead of hitting email, I'm going to hit group. So I'm going to group them into the group that I just created for today's class called Next Level Class. I select that, and then right down here, I'm hitting add to group. To add to, you've got to create the group first. Before you get to this point, you have to have created the group, and then you can add people to it. So if I hit add to group, now all of the people that I just selected are added to this group. If I want to add somebody individually to a group, first of all, let me refresh here. And you can now see that all of these people are added to groups. This is a real living, breathing person up here. You can add them to multiple groups. So they're in the welcome email, the newsletter. They came over from my Home Search, and they're now in my Next Level group. If I want to add people individually, again, to add multiples, before I move on, to add multiple people into a group, you go action mode up here. You select them. You go to, I've got to have somebody selected. You go to group, decide what group you want to put them into, and then hit add group. Now let's go in and I'll show you how to add people individually to a group. Let's go. Actually, I'm going to go back. There was a client that I didn't add that I missed on Next Level. Let's go add him. Come on. My computer's not working as fast as my mind is right now. Okay, I forgot to add him. So I'm going to click on him. Click on Clint. I'm going to go to edit, the pencil right next to his name. And I'm going to scroll almost to the bottom. Sorry, I'm making you sick by scrolling so fast. Right here is groups. We're almost at the bottom of the screen. If I click on this box, it'll pull up for me all the groups that I have in my list. Or I can start typing Next Level. Yep, I want that group. Again, I can add them here to multi. If I want to put them in that group, I can add them to whatever groups I want to. So this has actually become a part of my input. If I'm inputting a new client, I'm putting everybody onto this e-newsletter. It's a great touch. It's a nice professional looking, good value add newsletter that's going out to client with Kansas City market stats, which is what they want. So as I'm inputting clients, I'm scrolling right down here when I do my lead settings, I'm putting them into this e-newsletter group. That, remember, is a shared group. So you can't control anything with that group. You can just add people to it. But by adding somebody to it, they'll get our monthly newsletter automatically. Okay, Mary Fox asked, how do I add a group? Let's go back and add a group. Let me get out of, I don't know what I just clicked on, and I apologize. I do that all the time in here. If I click anywhere over in this column, it takes me somewhere different. Before I move on, is everybody okay with how to add an individual into a group? One more time before I go to add a group. Let me walk you through. I'm going to hit the pencil. And then remember, it's at the very bottom, right above your settings, right under groups. Start typing in your group. I'm going to show you in a second how to add a group. The group has to exist before you can add somebody to it. So if you're going to utilize groups, you want to start where I started originally, and that was in the groups, and I added the next level class group. So then I can go back and start adding people to that. All right, we're good on individual group assignment. If not, give me a no in the chat, and I can walk through it again. Okay. I'll go back and walk through again how to add a group. I'm not going to save this because I can't remember what I did in here. I can do it two different ways. I can go add new, just like we add a new client, add new group. Group name, Mary Fox group. Test group, and hit save. Now you've added the group. Now that you've added the group, you can add the people. That's the shortcut really to add groups. I took you in the long way originally, but if you go add new group, it's right there. If you want to see the groups that you have, right here on the left-hand side under leads is groups. And you can add them from here. So you can go in here and see what you have. And then if you need to add from here, it's this plus right up here at the top right. And we get taken right to that same add group. Is everybody good with how to start a group, how to add people to the group, and then how to send individual emails to the group? I know I went through that somewhat quick. Usually when I talk about groups, and I touch on this very briefly in the basics class, that people ask, why would I want to send individual emails to groups? Or what? Tell me an application for that. So if you have a, like within your COI, you've got specific groups or specific clients and client segments, I should say. And you might have a group that you like to keep updated on your new listing. So if you've got a listing that's coming on the market this weekend and you want to send them a special VIP email that tells them what houses you have coming up on the market, you might create a group that's called, my VIP listing updates. And when you have a new listing that's coming up, you can send them this email to the whole group right out of this system versus having to set up distributions in your Gmail. This keeps them, by sending emails out from the home suite site in the back end and using groups, it keeps them inside of our ecosystem. So everything that you're pushing out to them is coming from the same source. They're clicking through to go into the website. You're really creating some consistency in the information that you're sending them versus, I know a lot of agents, when they get new listings, they'll send out an email from Gmail that includes an MLS link versus keeping them inside of Kansas City Homes. You can add, Linda, you can add an attachment to the email just like in your list, just in a listing link. Let me show you that real quick. Let's email one of my test groups here. Let's go here. I think this is a test group. Yes, this is a test group. So we're going to use this group so I don't accidentally email like real live people. If I want to send an email to this group, again, I go to action mode. I'm going to select all. I'm going to assume that there's some more people in here. And then when I'm taken to the email, it's just like every other way you can email out of this system. So right from here, I've got my formats, sizes, alignment, bullets, numbers. Right here, I can insert a link. I can insert an image. I can insert a video. If I've done a video tour of the property and I want to insert a video, I can do that right from here. Let's add our subject here, testing this email. I'm going to blind copy myself on this. Remember, in the system, if you're going to copy yourself, do the blind copy, don't do the carbon copy. Testing, testing, testing. We'll say, look at my amazing new listing that just came on the market. Here's how you input an MLS listing. I recommend doing it this way versus doing a link. Wherever my cursor is, I leave it here and I'm going to scroll down. And right down here, I can put in an active MLS number. Where's the one I was using earlier? Here it is. This is a listing that just came on the market today by one of our College Boulevard agents. That's the listing I want to send them. Look at my amazing new listing that just came on the market. I'm going to get this lined up right. If I want to put something down here that says you also might be interested in my old listings, right down here, let's input a listing. Wherever our cursor is up top in that box is where this is going to populate. Why didn't that populate right? Hold on just a second. Oh, there it is right there. It put in 2 disclaimers, which I don't like. So I'm going to take that one out. You need to include the disclaimer, though. If you're, don't delete that. Make sure there's at least one in there if you're sending MLS listings or you're going to get in trouble. Right down here is the disclaimer. If I want to add an attachment, Linda, you'd asked about adding attachments. It's right here. Choose a file. If I want to include, you know, the open house invitation or whatever that I've created, I can do that right here. You can attach, right here gives you a list of the files you can attach. Picture files, documents, Microsoft document, actually, Microsoft Word documents, text, PDF, etc. You got lots of options. So same options in here that you have in, you know, sending individual client emails. You've got the same options. Groups allows you, it saves you a lot of time. If you take the time to put people in groups, you can market to them with this site really easily and with a really slick looking email. So let's go ahead and send this, and then I'm going to show you what this looks like after it's sent. I know I cover a lot of these email features in the basics class, but for those that have not seen that, let's go ahead and send this so it'll pop up in my Gmail and we can get a little preview. Now, the one thing that I didn't do when I sent the email, let me go into test account. I'm just going back to an email screen so I can show you another option you have that I skipped over because I don't use it. But down here, the Shelley, I see your question. I'm going to answer it in just a second, and it's a really good one. I skipped over this, but down here is a this is where you can select your template. Remember I showed you over here in Home Suite, that preview, the template preview was right here. If I want this to go out with a big template and picture, which I don't like sending, it's a personal preference. Some people like them. This is where you choose your template. We're going to go into pre-built messages next, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but if I want to send that, whole group one of these pre-built messages, this is how I sent my home search peeps, that group. This is how I sent them a welcome email into the new Kansas City homes, is I just selected a message out of here that was a transition. It was my INET email. We're going to go into depth on that in just a second. Okay, Shelly asked a really good question that I want to address. And she asked, setting up a husband and wife separately. What you're learning right now is exactly why you want to set up a husband and wife separate. If you're going to use these features and use the system the way that it was created, and that is a touch point, a way to stay in contact with clients, use these groups, you need to set people up individually. If I have set somebody up and I have not set them up individually, and I put maybe the wife as the primary and the husband I put as a secondary, the alternate email address, the only emails that the husband is getting as an alternate are the listing updates if they've got an active listing or active search, or they're in compare or sale. They will not get any of these one-off emails, any of the marketing emails, any of the newsletter emails, any of the emails you send from a group. They won't receive those. So I know that I teach it in basics, and now you're kind of seeing it come to fruition. That's why I recommend setting people up individually and not setting them up as, grouping them together and using that alternate email address. This is where it kind of bites you if you set them up that way. Did that explanation make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that or clarification they want on setting people up either individually or as couples? I know that was also asked in the last class. Okay. All right. Before I move on and we move away from groups, now that we know how to set up groups, we are now going to learn how to set up and edit form campaign or form letters and campaigns. But before I move on, last call for any questions, and we can always come back to it at the end, but last call for any questions on groups. I'm trying to teach this in order of how you would, if you were going to come in here and set up a drip campaign or send out emails, the order that you would go in. And again, the first thing you start with is group. You have to create the group before you can add people to it. And remember, we did that by either clicking on add new in group, that's the shortcut, or you go into groups and hit the plus button over here on the top right. Okay, so we now have our group created. Now we want to set them up on a drip campaign. This is where it gets real fun. Before I go in there, let me answer Rebecca's question, how to get the, you have access to that. I think I understand your question. You have access to that shared newsletter. Everybody has access to that. If you don't, send an email to HomeSuite, and I'm going to put this in the chat right now, this email address. It's HomeSuite@kansascityhomes.com. If for some reason you don't have access to that, but if you go into your CRM and hit groups, it should be right at the top. And how you, I think second part of your question, Rebecca, might have been how do you add people to that? You do that when you're setting them up. Remember, we go into a lead. Oh, that's all. Okay, I'll show this. I started to show this, so I'll just continue here just to recap because we've covered this, but it never hurts to show it again. How you add people, individuals to groups. You can do this as you're inputting, or you can come back and do it later, right down here at the bottom under groups. If you want to add people to the newsletter group, this person's already added, but you just start typing in newsletter and it'll auto-populate. It's not auto-populating because they're already in this group. And then make sure you hit save and they're in your group. Okay. Let's go into form letters and campaigns. This is where it gets, the site starts getting a little less intuitive. Just when you thought it couldn't get less intuitive, it's going to. I'm going to click back into CRM here. We're going to spend some time over here in the on the left-hand side. The reason that I gave you at the beginning of class, I showed you in KCH Agent, and I showed you, gave you the link to the drive folder with the preview on some of these is, and you've heard me talk about this during basics, is that there's no preview function in this website, which gets really, this is where it gets really not very intuitive and it's frustrating. So if you go and you download and print those first, it'll give you a sense as to really kind of the big picture as to what you're looking at. But it's put into pieces, it's picked out into pieces when you're in here actually trying to set these up, and you'll understand in a second what I'm talking about. The first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go into form letters. These are, I'm going to click right over here on the left-hand side. I'm going into form letters. These are the campaigns that have been set up for us by marketing. You're not going to have all of these. I've got some broker-related ones, the onboarding, recruiting, and then some that I've created. But marketing has created these template campaigns for us to be able to work with. I'm going to show you how you go in and you edit these if you want to edit the form letters that have already been created. So when you click on form letters, and I forget this every time I go in here, and you will too, I've clicked on form letters on the left-hand side, and I've got two different tabs up here, and it takes me to categories. Categories really can't do a whole lot with. I want to get into the form letters, so you've got to click on form letters. It messes me up every time. So here I've got the category right up here, buyers, and these are all the form letters that are associated with the buyer campaign. These are all of the form letters that are associated with Client Connect. There's 3 of them, that's it. The COI transition, these were set up for us. I use those in autoresponder. These were what was set up for us when we launched the website, but they still have them in there. This is a COI of what my welcome emails for new clients. And then the ones below this is onboarding for new agents. And then second page here has recruiting. And then sellers, there's 4 emails in here about sellers. The newsletter, you can't make changes to this. And then Kansas City Home, some resources here. And then some seasonal stuff. For the sake of simplicity here, I'm going to go back to the buyer one since it's right up at the top, and it should be at the top when you go in here as well. So I'm going to click over here to my drive folder. This is what we're previewing, and this is what we're editing right now, is this campaign. You can get to it in that drive folder, or you can get to it on KCH Agent right here, the buyer campaign preview. If you click that, it's going to pull up this PDF. I recommend pulling this up, printing it off, so you know kind of a big picture view of what you're looking at. When I pull up the form letter, what it's going to show me is the body. So this is the about the process, which is right here. This is giving me a preview. What we're going to see is just the body. So let's open that email. Just the body. I don't see the template. I don't see the big skyline picture. I don't see the salutation that's baked in. I don't see the bottom. The bottom here, my email signature, all I'm seeing is the body. And I know this is really blurry on your screen. It's blurry on mine too. All I'm seeing is the body. This is why I started with showing you where these resources are on KCH Agent and in that link, the drive link. That way you can see what they look like on a whole. If I want to come in here and edit these, again, we're going to start over. Form letters. I have to click on the form letters here. I find the form letter and I just click on it. And it pulls it up for me. And I can edit. I am going to be showing you how you can create your own. It might be easier for simplicity's sake just to come in and edit the ones that are already here. But you can definitely add your own form letters, and we're gonna do that next. I'm starting with editing the ones that are already existing. How is everybody doing? Is this making sense? Thanks, Shelley. Okay, I'm gonna keep rolling. Thank you, Linda. Okay, I'm going to go back. You all know how to edit emails. We don't need to go into detail on that. When I went back, it took me again to this categories deal with buyers. If you click on that, again, you don't get any information. All it's telling you is what the category name is. I need to come in here and change my last name and all this stuff. Geez, okay. So once I have these edited, they're now, I've got them, they've got my language, they have my little touch on them. They're now accessible to me everywhere in the website. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's edit something so we can see what I'm talking about. This is Christian's edited version. Save. Help if I could spell version correctly, but we're not going back. Okay. So now when I'm over on in a lead, I'm just going to pull up one quick for simplicity's sake. I'm going to click on email. When I'm anywhere in the system trying to email, I can use these form letters. So right here, here's this. Does this look familiar? We've got our buyers. Here were those emails, those 5 emails. We're going to pull up the about the process. When I pull this up, it's going to populate for me what I have in my process email. There it is. This is Christian's edited version. That is driving me insane. But this is a way, these are, the template emails. These are a way to save you time and really have some good drip campaigns, some good emails. If you want to go in and edit what marketing's done, you can. But again, these are accessible then to you as one-offs anywhere in the system, or they can be put into a drip campaign for you, which is where we're going next. First, I want to show you how you add your own form letter. Is everybody good with editing existing form letters? I'm going to walk back through it one more time. I'm going to start from CRM. Yeah, I don't want to send that. This is what I call kind of home base. Everybody knows how to get here. We're going to go form letters over here on the left. Form letters. Remember, you got to click on that form letters on the top. And then you can click in and edit any of these. You're editing your form letters. This does not edit everybody's, just yours. Please do not select this box down here, share this form letter. This is how we end up with people. Sometimes you'll come in here and in your list, you'll see somebody else's stuff. I think they've turned this off, but just for future, don't ever check this, share this form letter box right down here that I'm on. Okay, so how do we add our own form letters? Let's say you have one. You have a good one. First of all, kind of like we've got to do it in step-by-step process. First, you've got to put in a category. So we're going to call this category Christian's Custom Form Letters. My creations. We're going to save. Okay, so once we have our category right down here, now I'm going to go over to form letters. Same process. I'm going to hit the plus button. Right here, it's going to ask me what category I want to put it under. I can add my own to the buyers. I can add my own to any of these that were already created. If I want to keep them all together in my own, if I'm doing my own drip campaign, I'm not building off of one of these, I'm going to put it in my own category. Christians welcome email. Test, test, test. You're going to type this just like you would any others. A little bit different on this one. You've got still have these options up here. You don't have the options down below with template and whatnot. You're really just working. When you're in form letters, you're just working on the body of the email. You don't have all the bells and whistles you normally do. You set all of those up when we set up campaigns. You're not doing that in the form letter. The form letter, you're only manipulating the body of these emails. I'm going to get there, Shelly. We're building to that. I will be there in a second. She's asking how you set the timeline for the drips. Okay, so this is my email. I've saved it. Here it is right here. If I go to form letters over here, it's going to show me that email, and I can add more to this list if I want to. It's going to be at the very end, so I'm not going to menu over. I know I went through that really quick. There's not a whole lot to adding form letters. You just, again, you click form letters, make sure you're on the form letters tab, and hit the plus button. Similar to putting clients in groups, you've got to know what category you want this form letter to go into. If you're going into a new category, create the category first and then do this. I went through that quick. Any questions before we start going into campaigns and what, you know, if we want to really set up a drip campaign with these form letters, how we get to that point? That's where we're headed next. But anybody have any questions before I move over there? Okay, I'm going to start moving over then. Okay, so we've spent our time in groups. We did that first. We were in form letters, getting our form letters set up. Now we want to set up a campaign using these form letters. I'm going to add, before I go, just for example's sake, test email number 2. We're going to add it in that category, save. Oh, I have to add text. Save. You'll see why I did that in just a second. Okay. Now we're going into campaigns right here. Once we are in campaigns, we cannot manipulate the body of the emails. This is why we start in form letters. Again, I said it gets less and less intuitive as you dive into the site. It's all kind of parceled out, so it's in different sections. I'm trying to walk you through the most logical progression here. Okay, so in campaigns, you have some that are already set up for you. There's a COI transition one that was set up when we launched the site. I have a recruiting one. You won't see access. You won't see access to onboarding. You will have access to the seller and the buyer one. Client Connect. I think you have access in the welcome one. So let's go in. Let's stay inside buyers. So let's go inside buyers here. And once we click on this, we're going to see how marketing set up this campaign for us, and we can make changes to it. But let's first see how it was set up. So we're going into campaign settings. Right now, this campaign is inactive. I don't have anybody in it. If I want this campaign to be active, I'm going to select this, okay? This is where it gets a little tricky, and I'm going to say this several times. You do not set up individuals on campaigns. You set groups up on campaigns. That's going to stump a lot of people, and you're scratching your head right now, but that's the way the system is set up. So you don't set up individuals on campaigns. You set up groups. As you are adding people to groups, the campaign will start for them as long as you have it active. Again, as you put people in groups, if you have that group on an active campaign, it'll trigger the start of the campaign. So let's put that into real world language, a real world example. If I have a drip campaign that I've created that is for new clients that are coming in, new buyers. When I'm inputting a new buyer into this system, I put them in the group buyers. And when I put them in the group buyers, it's going to start them on my buyer drip campaign. but I have to put them in the group buyers. Down here in groups, I'm going to put in buyers. This campaign is going to this group. So as I add people to this group, they're getting added to the campaign in the drip. Am I making sense? Is everybody following that progression? Or have I completely, if you're completely confused, please tell me so I can kind of back out. Shelly's good, Mary's good. It's okay to say if you're not. Okay. I've only heard from 2 of you, but I'm going to assume the rest of you are A-okay. I'm going to assume your silence means that you're golden. Okay. Let's get back in here to campaign settings. So we're going to set up this campaign. I want this campaign going to, I'm going to set it as active. It's going to my active buyers. The start date. I'm picking an arbitrary start date. Okay. Doesn't matter what you have as start date. For the people that are already, if I already have people in this group, this campaign will start for them tomorrow. When I'm adding people into this group, the campaign will start the next day. That I know is confusing. If you're setting up the system and you're setting something up in the future, that start date becomes a little bit more clear. But the start date is really kind of arbitrary if you don't already have people in the group. You do have to put in a date. Yes. Yes. I recommend getting your campaign. Here's what I would recommend progression wise. If you're going to do it, if you're going to create a new drip campaign, create your group. Don't put anybody in it, but create the group. Then add your form letters, come into what we're in now, the campaign settings, and then go back and add your people to the group. Does that make sense? Does it make sense why I tell you to do it that way? Okay, very good. And if I'm setting this up today, and this is going to be my active buyers. As I'm putting active buyers into the system, I'm going to set them up on the strip campaign. They aren't going to miss an email because I have this starting today. They're going to just be feathered into this drip campaign as I input them. So if I don't input a buyer until March 30th, they're getting the first email the following day that they were input. Linda, you said it doesn't make sense. Can you give me a specific question, or do you want me to tell me what's not making sense on that? You don't have to put people in groups first. They have to be in a group to get the campaign. But if you're going to activate a campaign for a specific group, you want to make sure that you've got the campaign set up correctly before people start getting emails with the campaign. That's correct, Rick. No matter when someone is added to the group, the campaign starts for them on that day. It will start at 5 a.m. the next morning. Linda, I'll expand on that a little bit more. If you're using the groups for a specific campaign, I recommend setting the campaign up first with that group and then adding the people. So it's not always going to be applicable with all your groups, because you're not going to put you might not put every single one of your groups on a campaign. I absolutely would put yourself in as a test. You bet. Make sure it's firing correctly before you send it to 700 people. So to do that, create the group, add yourself to this group as the only person after you set up all of these settings. That's how you add yourself as a test. And then once you feel good about it, start adding buyers into this group or your clients' contacts into the group, and the campaign will start for them. Does that make are we good? Did I answer your question? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's keep rolling through our campaign settings here. We've got to activate it. I can keep it inactive until I get everything set up and then activate it, or I can do it now. The groups I want to receive this. You can have multiple groups receiving one campaign. Template, again, these are our letterheads. If you want a template, you select a template. What do I want to call the campaign? The one that I'm editing is one that marketing did. If I'm starting over, I've got to have a name for it. I'm just going to keep this as buyers because I'm working off of theirs. I'm not creating my own. I might put a description in here. This is going to new active buyers as they are input into the system. Just jogs my memory on what the purpose of this is. So now you're going to set up the emails, the frequency of the emails, and the order. So down here on day 1, I want them to get the welcome email. The email subject is going to be, I'm going to change that. I want it to say welcome to kansascityhomes.com and your online search tool. That's going to be the subject. Everybody that gets this campaign, that's the subject of the first email, it's going out on day 1. And the body, the email that I want to send is this welcome email. If I wanted to send on the first day this form letter that I created, right down here, Christian's custom form letters, I want that one to go out. The second email in the drip, this drip is set up for this email to go out on day 32. I want it to go out on day 14. The email subject I'm good with. The email message I'm fine with. Make sure these match. If you're going to change this, make sure you change the email subject. It does not change automatically. So on day 14, I actually want this to go like 3 days later. Download the mobile app. Again, I can't preview the emails. I cannot adjust the body over here. This is why we start over on form letters, and I have you download a preview of these campaigns. I don't want this one, so I'm going to hit delete. This email is going out on day 94. I hope they have bought a house by day 94. This campaign is designed more for just lookers, not really buyers, which is why I recommend you go in and set up your own and tailor these to how you're going to use them. Is everybody following how to set up the timing? It's pretty, once you get in here, it's pretty simple to do. So day 1 of the campaign, the email subject, and what message do you want to send them? What day do you want? The email subject and the message. If you want to add another email, down here, add a campaign email, it's going to automatically put it on the day after your one previously. So we're going to change this to day 200. The email subject, are you going to buy or what? The message I want, I can select any of these. It doesn't have to be inside this buyer one, remember? I can select anything. Let's do the test email too. Okay, once I have this all set up, I hit save. And this campaign is set up. If I want somebody to receive this, I'm going to add them to this group, the active buyer group. I would recommend having either, I'm a spreadsheet geek. I would recommend having a spreadsheet somewhere or some type of a Word document that kind of jogs your memory as to what is your set. If you're going to set up campaigns, what the purpose of your campaigns are, whether that goes on a checklist for new buyers and buyer expectation interviews, that after your interview, you set them up on X-Strip campaign. But somewhere I would probably keep a spreadsheet or some documentation of what all of your campaigns are. That way when you go in, it's not you know what you're sending out and when you're sending it out, if that makes sense. So if you want to add a new campaign, you don't want to start with one of the existing ones. I am not going to save this because I have no idea what I've done here. Oh, I think it already saved for me. That's great. I am going to make this inactive. Hold on just a second. Yes, if you add a buyer and you put them in this group, they're automatically added to the campaign. It's going to take you some time to go in and set these campaigns up and get them set up right. But once you get them set up and humming, now it's just like adding people to the newsletter. Add them as you're setting them up and they're getting your stuff. You might go in on occasion and change what campaign, once they close. How about that? That's a great idea. Set up a campaign for buyers when they close on their property, kind of checkpoints for them that are going out now automatically. But yes, Mary, to answer your question, as you add people to a group, if that group is assigned to a campaign and activated, they will start getting the messages. Remember, you have to have the campaign active. I'm going to deactivate this one because I really don't know what I did when I was in there. I'm going to have to go back and fix it all. I really should do a test one. Okay, so my campaigns, I want to add a new one. I want to start over. I want to add the post-closing campaign. I'm going to keep it inactive until I've got it all set up. Groups are going to be my closed clients. We're going to do closed buyer clients. Oop, I don't have that group set up. What do I do? I've got to add the group first, right here. Add new group. I'm going to go ahead and leave this. I'll be back. Closed buyers. I'm going to put for drip. Buyers I want on the post-closing drip. How about I do this? Post-closing buyer drip. Save. Okay, the group's been added. Now I can go back to campaigns. I'm going to use the plus button. We're going to start a new one for that group. I'm going to have it inactive until I get it all set up. Start date today, that's fine. I don't want a template. The group, post, closing buyer drip. Campaign name, I'm going to call it the post closing buyer drip. Drip campaign for closed buyers. Okay. Now I can start setting up emails. I have to create the emails first, though. Remember, we're going backwards now. Start with a group, go to forms, type in the body, and then you're coming here to do the campaign. But here you add the day, the email subject. Congratulations. I cannot type. In a perfect world, we'd already have this email written and put in form letters, and I would select it from here. We're just going to pretend that's it. Add campaign. I want one to go out on day 5. Don't forget let's see, what do we want this one to say? Just checking in. Select your message. I want one to go out on day 30. It's been 1 month of home ownership. Select your email. We're going to save. That would be correct, Rebecca. If you're going to set these up that specific and do something that's like it's one, you know, congratulations, you've been in your home for a month, you need to be adding them to this drip campaign the day that they close. If you don't have a system in place or you can't be that consistent, then don't put emails in here that are that specific. Once they've received all of the emails in the drip, they're done. So they only get them once. Just know that they don't start back over. If you ever take them out of that group and then put them back in, it will start over for them. So don't go in and try to jack around with who's in your groups if you've got drip campaigns going. You've got to be real careful with your drip campaigns, how you set all of this up, and really think through, you know, how to set your groups up, who you're putting in your groups, and what drip campaigns they're receiving. Okay, we've covered a ton. We've walked through groups, how to add those, how to start a new one, and how to add people to groups, how to add people to existing groups. We have gone through form letters and how to update and how to update the existing ones and how to customize those, as well as creating your own. Remember, we're in form letters. To create, we add the plus. To edit, we just click on it and edit the body. You can create these in Microsoft Word or whatever you use, word processing, and just copy and paste it over to here. If you already have stuff, you can do that, just so you know. And then we went in campaigns. And we looked how to activate campaigns. You can use the baked in these campaigns. You don't have to create your own. If you want to start using the seller campaign, if you're happy with it, if you've got over here to KCH Agent, you click on this, you see, okay, the preview, I'm good with all this. I'm fine with all these emails. I'm good. You don't have to manipulate all of these. I'm in the seller one. Move it to active, select a start date, select a group, and hit save, and I'm done. I've shown you how to manipulate the campaign, so how to set up a new campaign, adjust the timing of the emails, adjust what emails are being sent when. So what questions, you feel free to unmute yourself. If it's a pain to type, tell me pepper me with some questions here. What do you want me to go back and show again? What are you still a little fuzzy on? What questions do you have? Again, feel free to mute yourself or type in the chat box, either one, but I'm here to answer questions. Have I lulled you to sleep? Or are you completely overwhelmed? Or are you good? You think you can go do it? Okay, Rika is asking, how far out can you set up an ongoing campaign for follow-up on buyers and sellers? You can set up a campaign for close. Okay. For closed buyers and sellers. I have to think that through on how far out. Can you unmute yourself and tell me kind of what you're thinking about doing to give me some more clarification? Okay, so for constant contact. So are you saying like how far, like can you only go a year out? Can you go 2 years from the start date? That I don't, okay, gotcha. Okay, that I don't know. Let's find out. We're in here. Can we do day, hold on a second. I really don't want to screw with this one. Let me go into one that we've created. I don't want to go in and screw up every single one of my campaigns. Because once you screw it up, it's hard to get it back. Let's just go into this one that we created. See how far out we can go. Can I go 2,000 days out? Save. It'll give me an error. Yeah, it looks like I can go as far out as I want to. So you could have it set up where they're getting, you know, happy 1 month, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. Now, whether we're on the same system in 5 years is a whole nother question, but it looks like you can go out as far as you want to. Any other questions? Does everybody feel like they've got this and they can do it and they can go play around with it? All you can do is try, Shelly. I would strongly recommend, you're sitting in front of your computers right now. I think we finished a little bit early, so I would strongly recommend that you jump in now and try to walk through some of the things that we just did. To tag off of Linda's question and suggestion, set yourself up on one of these drip campaigns. Go in and just walk through and get yourself set up. Get a group set up, put yourself in the group, start a campaign for yourself. Walk through this. I have the same issue that you all do, and that's if I don't do it on a consistent basis, every time I log in here, I completely forget where I'm going and how I'm doing things. So it's muscle memory. The faster you can get in there after taking this class and play around with it, and then the more frequent you can get in here and play around with these things, the better off you're going to remember how to do this stuff. But if you get stuck, if you have problems, feel free to reach out, or you can also email that home suite at kansascityhomes.com. All right, you all are free to go and play with the site. And if you have questions, let me know. I'll be around most of the day. So good luck. Hopefully this all made sense. It was my first time teaching it, so I learned some stuff as well. So I appreciate you all paying attention and giving me some feedback on the chat. It's always hard to teach without people, live bodies in front of you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all soon.